Welcome back to yet another episode of the Inverted Microphone. My name is Rees Goodall. I'm joined by the Joa'o Lara Jr. It is a jam-packed weekend in football coming up with Premier League matches all around us. But more importantly, the Champions League finished up this week during a jam-packed fixture set that saw 18 matches kick off at the same time. We saw some chaos all around Europe. And then we're going to wrap things up with a little football boot draft. We've been doing these drafts. It's time to get into the boots. We've been putting it off for a minute. So here we go. But Joa'o, let's start with you today. How are you doing on this lovely, lovely Friday morning?
Absolutely elated to be here. I feel just like a Benfica fan after they scored that final goal on Real Madrid. Insane goal, by the way. I was happy that was the match I decided to watch out of all the 18. But yeah, just happy to be here and happy to go ahead and be with you guys on another episode.
Well, I'm glad you chose that match to watch on Wednesday. I had the relative misfortune of watching Arsenal versus Kairat Almaty, which is one of the most forgettable matches, especially second halves, I've ever seen in my entire life. Arsenal win 3-2, but one penalty goal for Almaty and another coming very late into the game. But we'll go through the Champions League now, since we're already on the topic. 5 English sides made it through to the top 8. We spoke about on Monday, or Tuesday rather, about how it was a possibility that all 6 could go through. Newcastle United didn't, but they still drew away to PSG, an impressive result nonetheless. But Joao, you've already hinted at it. You've already spoke about it. Real Madrid losing to Benfica, that cost Real Madrid a spot in the top 8. Now they have to play 2 additional matches, and those 2 additional matches are against a familiar foe. They have to play against Benfica in the playoff round of the Champions League knockout. Watching that game, Joao, what were your thoughts on how Real Madrid looked? Because they have had their fair share of struggles so far this season.
Well, look, off the top of my head, or before the match even started, I had a gut feeling that Benfica was gonna do something given the situation they were in, the win that they needed, and honestly, when I started seeing that they started going for goal differentials at the end, trying to boost them up to secure their spot, I was like, this team is in. This team is locked. Real Madrid couldn't fare against the pressure. Not only that, there were lots of silly mistakes in the back that ended up costing to a lot of situations where they could have been scored on, so the score could have been worse. But Benfica just did well. They covered their spaces. They took advantage of really the lack of pressure from Real Madrid because they were very passive defensively, and they did what they had to do. Their left mid, his name starts with an S. I'm not even gonna try it because I'm gonna butcher it. He played absolutely phenomenally, geez, against Real Madrid. And honestly, I think he could do it again. But I think that this Real Madrid squad now has Benfica covered to a sense. And if it's a 2-game series, I think Real Madrid takes it eventually. It's going to be very close, but they take it eventually.
Yeah, it is always certainly very difficult to pick against Real Madrid in the Champions League. I mean, they are the kings of this competition, and to call them the kings, it doesn't put it into perspective how successful they have been in this competition. But I do have to say, I watched the match against Benfica after the fact, after I had finished, so I had already known the result. But I feel like very much a lot of the game encapsulated how this season has been going for Real Madrid this year. I mean, you look at the final 10 minutes, they have 2 men sent off. Raul Asensio picks up a red card. Rodrigo gets a second yellow after he was substituted onto the pitch in the second half, and he is gone. Joao, where are you going? You didn't get sent off yet. And then the very next moment after Rodrigo gets sent off the pitch, Benfica's goalkeeper scores a header, a very difficult header at that, to send Benfica into the knockouts. In one of the toughest celebrations I've ever seen. If we're redoing our celebration draft, Joao, Trubin's slide with all the Benfica players, all the substitutes, everyone running behind him is my goalkeeper.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it. There's no other way. When I saw him go up there, I was like, "You're up. Why are you gonna risk a result? Like, go ahead and just keep the result." But no, as soon as I saw him header that, I went crazy. Like I felt like I was a Benfica fan, and I don't even watch Liga NOS like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it certainly was. Certainly was. I mean, I don't know the last time I've really seen anything remotely close to that. I know Napoli had a winner in the Champions League a couple years ago, but that wasn't this level of stakes because by the finest of fine margins, Benfica gets into the playoff. As we mentioned, they were 25th before the goal, tied on goal difference, but less goals for with Marseille. And then Benfica scores that goal to make their goal difference -2. Marseille, a very interesting situation there. Roberto De Zerbi has actually just resigned as manager. And I read this tweet, so I bookmarked it. Roberto De Zerbi is now handing in his resignation because he's been eliminated from the Champions League by a goal from his former goalkeeper, Anatoly Trubin. All right, Trubin's the goalkeeper scored. Roberto De Zerbi earned his first ever point in Serie A as Benevento coach precisely through a goalkeeper's goal himself when Alberto Brignoli scored for him, right? Benevento's goalkeeping coach was Francesco Ferraioli, all right? Trubin's goalkeeper coach, or not Trubin, Porto's goalkeeping coach is also Ferraioli, and Trubin almost scored last weekend. So very, very just kind of funny little sequence of things there. But Marseille just gutted for them. How heartbroken are you if you're a Marseille fan?
Yeah, you have to be gutted. I mean, this is one of the years where you have a competent Marseille squad, or you have a squad that can go all out. Honestly, when I saw the slate of Club Brugge versus Marseille, I said Marseille has that. They're gonna go through. Easy win. They go to Bruges. They get absolutely smacked up 3-0, and I'm just left wondering what happened. And honestly, it's very unfortunate, and it's only gonna become a little bit more. It's only gonna become more difficult for Marseille, just because you lose to Zerbi, you have to go for a new manager mid-season. It's never ideal, not at all.
No, it is not. But I'm looking at Marseille's Champions League fixtures. They had some very, very difficult ones. They lost to Real Madrid to open the campaign. They beat Ajax, lost to Sporting, lost to Atalanta, beat Newcastle, beat Union Saint-Gilloise, and then most recently lost to Liverpool and then lost to Club Brugge. For the four-pot system, Marseille definitely got screwed over there. So I know they're feeling certainly hard done by all of that. Looking at some of the other spots, and really more so at what that the playoff rather, the matchups. Sorry, Borussia Dortmund will play Atalanta, Benfica, Real Madrid, which we already mentioned. Monaco, PSG, a two French club matchup there. Galatasaray, Juve, Olympiacos, Bayer Leverkusen, Bodo Glimt versus Inter Milan, Karabakh versus Newcastle, and lastly, Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid. Out of that list, what really stands out to you, Joao?
Well, I really like that Monaco PSG matchup. I think that just because it is that French Ligue 1 matchup, I think it's gonna be one of the most exciting ones, if not the most exciting slate. Um, I just think that is gonna be fireworks. But also, I think that in the Galatasaray Juve slate, people are really gonna try to count out Galatasaray. Juve hasn't been able to score um, a abundance of goals. If anything, they score maybe 1, 2 goals a game. I think Galatasaray can pull the quote unquote upset in that slate.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. I am definitely looking forward to that Monaco PSG matchup. Now, looking at some of what the future ties could hold for some of these teams, because it is a little complicated, but it's not that complicated. Dortmund Atalanta, the winner of that would play either Arsenal or Bayern Munich. So we could have a Der Klassiker in the Champions League knockouts, which would be electric. Or it would be Olympiacos versus Bayer Leverkusen. So there's a chance, no matter what happens, that Bayern Munich has to play a Bundesliga side, which would be very, very interesting. Bodo Glimt versus Inter Milan or Benfica Real Madrid will play either Sporting or Manchester City, which could set up a Real Madrid Manchester City tie in the round of 16, which would be incredible. Monaco versus PSG and Karabakh Newcastle. The winners of those two ties will play either Barcelona or Chelsea, which could be very, very exciting. And then Galatasaray Juventus, the winner of that, and the winner of Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid will play either Liverpool or Tottenham. But there are going to be some very fun fixtures coming up in the Champions League. The playoff starts February 17th, wraps up the week after. So the round of 16 will be in March, which will certainly be fun. What are you looking forward to most out of the knockout stage, Joao?
I'm just hoping that the matchups that we end up getting those are classicers. We end up getting that Real Madrid, Man City. If not, a Benfica Sporting wouldn't be bad either. A Portuguese Clásico, I would not be mad at that either. I just want to see good football. I just want to see teams go at it. Obviously, there's more on the line. The first game might be boring for all these slates, but the second game, I expect to see fireworks. I expect to see red cards and everything of the sort, everything you could possibly imagine in a high stakes game. That's all I want to see. I want to see teams be competitive and once again try to go as far as possible. Don't predetermine how far you're gonna go. Just go play the game. You never know what's gonna happen.
And that's exactly why I like this new format, or this isn't really part of the new format, but I like the Champions League getting rid of the away goals rule because it really jeopardizes that second leg a lot more. It means both teams have to show up to play for it rather than one team really just parking the bus because they've got the away goal and they just need the one. So I certainly like that change as well. Um, Again, Joao Lara Jr. quote, we'll have to wait and see. There really weren't any major disappointments, I think, for most sides. Obviously, PSG not getting out of the top 8 is a little concerning, but Real Madrid didn't either. So, and especially with the top 8, really the only surprise is Sporting. But that's really because they feasted on bad sides. And then, to be fair, they did beat PSG, but still, we'll see. We'll see. Moving on, we have a very interesting week of Premier League. We're going to talk about it briefly before we have some predictions for the second half of the season that encompasses all things in football. There is quite the big game on Sunday. Tottenham Hotspur, who will be on our Losers of the Week segment next week, whatever day we do it, don't you worry. They play host to Manchester City. It'll be an interesting game. Tottenham are weirdly Manchester City's bogey side, but also whenever it's held in London, Tottenham they get beat pretty bad. But other games: Brighton, Everton, Leeds, Arsenal, Wolves, Bournemouth, Chelsea, West Ham, then Liverpool, Newcastle is the Saturday slate. Then Sunday, Aston Villa, Brentford, Man United, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, and Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City. And then on Monday, Sunderland play host to Burnley. Obviously, the Tottenham Man City game is going to get a lot of the attention here. Tottenham have been awful at home this season. That is putting it lightly. That is putting it probably far too politely to Tottenham Hotspur. In fact, they sit 19th in the Premier League in home points. Through 11 home matches, they have only picked up 9 points. 2 wins, 3 draws, 6 losses. The only team worse is Wolves, who have picked up 5 points at home and currently sit bottom of the Premier League in almost every single statistical category. They have to play Manchester City, who are in the title race, are in better form. They've made some great transfers. Joao, how much Excuse me. How does this Big Six clash go in your eyes?
Honestly, I think that Man City takes it. Obviously, I think that this game it's not gonna be one of those where Man City is just putting belt to Tottenham
Mm-hmm.
to put it in polite terms. However, I do think that it is going to be a maybe a 2-1, maybe a 3-1. Um, I see Spurs getting that one opportunity, taking advantage of it, but I don't think Man City gives them too much in this game.
I certainly have to agree. And Manchester City, they're Manchester City at the end of the day. I think I'm going to say that anytime we predict a Manchester City match. And then Tottenham Hotspur, they're 14th place, but they, for some reason, finished fourth in the Champions League, which is fooling Tottenham, not just their fans, the board, the players, everyone, into thinking that Thomas Frank is the right guy. We've gotten so many TikTok comments about it. Joa'o, I know you want to talk about it. You're pointing at the screen in fury. What's your take?
Put some respect on Tottenham's name. They're fourth in the Champions League. Come on, now. It's absolutely no. It doesn't matter if you finish fourth in the Champions League. Look at who your opponents are. Look at what you have to play still and how far you are. If you're in a Champions League, maybe semifinals, then I'd be like, okay, maybe I misjudged Tottenham. You're look at your position in the Premier League. How are you not going to be alarmed? How are you not going to be in dismay right now?
Yeah,
I that's one thing I don't understand.
I agree. And then when you look at Tottenham's Champions League results, it really doesn't do anything to kind of alleviate that. Maybe, okay, maybe they're not Tottenham. Maybe they are actually a fairly decent side. They beat Villarreal, who finished the Champions League with 1 point. They beat them by only a lone goal. They drew to Bodo Glimt. They then beat Copenhagen 4-0. They also drew to Monaco. I apologize, I skipped over that game. They lost 5-3 to PSG. They beat Slavia Prague. They then beat Dortmund at home and beat Frankfurt away. And Frankfurt were awful. They were 33rd in the Champions League. So 3 of their wins came against teams in the bottom 4. 4 of their wins came against teams in the bottom 6 of the Champions League. These are not impressive victories by any stretch of the imagination. They barely eked through to the Champions League knockout, and I know they finished fourth, but they didn't play anybody. They did not play anybody. If you put them against some of these big sides, they would have gotten thrashed. They got lucky that their draw, all those teams, for some reason, had a really bad season this year.
This is like putting it in American football terms, putting it in NFL terms. This is like if I don't know. I'm just gonna choose a random team. This is like if the Arizona Cardinals
Oh,
went
God.
and beat 3 lower half teams. It's like recently, like the Tennessee Titans. Oh, they just went and beat 3 teams. They start off the season 3-0, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna win the Super Bowl because we beat 3 mediocre sides. There's no basis to that. When you don't face true comp, there's no basis to, and it's just you have to keep yourself grounded, especially when you're on social media because people will flame you. And I'm surprised you haven't been flamed. And I'm getting flamed when you see the reality, you see the truth of it, and you see when you face actual comp, you can't compete. You can't hang with the big dogs. I once again, come on now. Let's be realistic for a second. Let's plant our feet in the ground. When was your last Premier League? When was your last Champions League? I rest my case.
Oh, I'm not gonna let you rest your case quite yet. Well, I will. We do have other things to talk about, but I'm looking at Tottenham's fixture schedule because I have it up now. Obviously, this is subject to change with the Champions League. But their next 7 matches in the Premier League, one of these, or sorry, the next 7 they host Man City, they go away to Man United, they host Newcastle, host Arsenal, go away to Fulham, then they host Crystal Palace, then they'd have the Champions League game, whatever that round of 16 game is, and then they go away to Liverpool. This is a very, very difficult stretch upcoming, and we have spoken so many times about the injuries that Tottenham have. If Thomas Frank makes it to the end of March, I mean, hats off to him. That means he might actually be a good manager for Tottenham. I mean, honestly. But because this is difficult, and they are not playing well at the moment in the Premier League. We've spoken about that quite a few times. Um, Looking at Arsenal leads. Arsenal have dropped points in their last three matches, two draws and a loss. Um, Last time they played Leeds was a 5-0 victory early on in the season. Victor Gyökeres scored a brace in that match, one penalty, one from open play, which fed us dreams. Jurrien Timber had a brace as well. Um, However, it is at Elland Road this time, which is obviously a very difficult place to play. Um, Joa'o, what are your thoughts on how this game might go?
I just once again, if Arsenal lets a team like Leeds get confidence, especially at home, they're gonna have a difficult time. It's sweet and simple. They need to be aggressive off the forefront. They have to try to go look for a goal off the top, and it's gonna be difficult once again because most of these squads they play a low block, they try to hit them off the counter, and the more they hit them off the counter and the more spaces they find, and the more stuff they start doing, they sort of gain this confidence and Arsenal becomes vulnerable. If they can go ahead, go on, score early, try to keep the ball as much as possible, play that ball in the mid. You have the quality to do so. Arsenal pulls off the win. If they can't score, if they can't finish, if they can't control the game, it could get out of their hands and Leeds could have an ugly win.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, in all honesty. I really don't trust this Arsenal side anymore. For example, Leeds form in their last five home games, they have not lost in that span. They've won three times and drawn twice. The two draws, Man United and Liverpool. Their last home loss came November 23rd against Aston Villa. That is not the type of number you want to hear when you're going into a side that sits 16th in the Premier League, 6 points above the drop, and you need 3 points yourselves. That's just not the things that are going to line up in your favor for this Arsenal side. I mean, we'll have to see what the lineup is. They obviously rested quite a few guys in that match against Kyrat Almaty, mainly because two players, Mikel Merino and Declan Rice, got sent off, or not sent off, picked up too many yellow cards. Bukayo Saka didn't play. Leandro Trossard didn't play. They were able to rest again so many guys in that match because it had no jeopardy whatsoever. Arsenal could have lost 20-0, won 40-0. Doesn't matter. But it wouldn't have mattered again. Back to Arsenal though in this match against Leeds. I think Arsenal they need to go within the first 20 minutes and to really silence Leeds because Leeds crowd is going to be behind them the entire match. And I worry what that would do if Arsenal's waiting until the 75th minute and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, and it's just you let a crowd grow like that, especially in those minutes, that's whenever they're going to be the strongest. So if it's a 75th minute, nil, they are going to give you 15 minutes of absolute hell. So it's just you can't put yourself in that predicament. You can't put yourself in that situation. And it's something that they have to try to avoid. It's something that they have to start trying to fix because you go on and there's many places in the Premier League where you can't go and play because you are going to have a difficult time. Why not try to polish it against Leeds? Why not try something different, but try something that you know is bound to work?
Yeah, I certainly agree. And one thing I do want to talk about is I've heard rumors of this, and I really would be quite intrigued to see how this would work, what personnel you would deploy with it. I've heard rumors that there could be a switch to more of a double pivot, more of like a 4-2-3-1 in a way, with Declan Rice, Martin Zubamendi as the two central defensive midfielders, and then Kai Havertz almost playing as a second striker behind Victor Gyökeres to try and really get the most out of both those two guys. Victor Gyökeres Kai Havertz, when he was most successful at Bayer Leverkusen, it was in that second striker role. Obviously, he himself is working back from injury, but I'd be interested to see how that would work. I think it would be able to get the most out of the two guys, having, not just one, but two striker options on the pitch. But at the same time, neither of them are prolific strikers in the Premier League. So I worry that if you just stick out two pieces that aren't very good, you just get one big piece that isn't very good, and they're taking up two spots in the squad.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I think once again, I'm gonna repeat this: 16th to 20th. This is when you experiment. This is when you try. This is when you see if something works. Because if it does, hey, I mean, you're in for good business. You're in for something that might go ahead and help you along in the long run. So why not try it? If it works, beautiful. And if it doesn't, hey, you're back to the drawing board. But at least you know you tried something different.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And when you've been in the run of form that Arsenal's been in over the last little bit, you need to try anything. You just need to throw darts blindly at the dartboard and just hope that they find the bullseye, find the double, whatever you're going for, because you need this Premier League title more than anything. Um, Sorry, I just got a text from somebody and my mind slipped. And honestly, you probably need another trophy on that because you're this far. Why stop now? Joao, we've got some predictions to go over for the final stages of the season. I do have some Champions League. I don't know if you're only Premier League, but what? Give us your first prediction.
My first prediction, I think we have to address the one of the biggest trophies, I guess, in this situation. Premier League champion. My Premier League champion. I have Manchester City going on to win the Premier League. I just think that Arsenal, they're not going to have that. I think they're not going to have that continuity to pull off results against squads like Leeds, Fulham, Brentford. They're going to struggle a lot. Manchester City, they're finally picking up form. They've got these transfers that they finally needed for a very long time. I just think everything is falling in place for Manchester City to go on and win the title. Yes, is there a points advantage? But how long will it be until Arsenal is surpassed in points? And once when they're surpassed in points, you're playing the catch-up game against Manchester City. It's very difficult to do. Is it impossible? No, nobody is impossible to beat, but it is going to be very difficult. And honestly, hats off to Arsenal. If we look back in May, they're lifting up the Premier League trophy. I'll admit that I was wrong. From the beginning of the season, I've wanted them to do great things because they have a great squad. They're a likable squad. Arteta isn't one of those managers you look and you're like, man, I absolutely hate this guy. But once again, Man City, I think they're going to be lifting the Prem in May come time.
Joao, I think a lot of Twitter and a lot of TikTok is going to be mad at you for your take on Mikel Arteta, saying that he is not hateable. A lot of people, for some reason, do not like him. I will clip that and post it on TikTok just so we
Here's
can get
here's
a
here's the
bunch of
thing.
comments.
Here's the thing, right? I hate the system he employs. I hate this. I hate, and it's not even him. I hate the set pieces Arsenal employs. When they scored that second goal against Manchester United, where they cram everyone in the box, I was fuming, heads on Mars. But he doesn't seem like the guy who's gonna go out and blatantly disrespect someone for the love of the game. He doesn't seem like a scum or a douche. If you're one of those, then I'd be like, man, I hate this guy. Man, I hope Arsenal loses their next 5 games. I don't. I'm not. I'm not against them. I'm not for him because it's not my team. But again, he's, in my opinion, in my eyes, and when I see. If you disagree, drop something down in the comments about Arteta, about the situation, not about me.
And your
I'm just talking.
intelligence. Yeah, I think a lot of the agenda with Mikel Arteta is stems from the fact that he doesn't stay on his in his little box. But even then, I think that's way overplayed. He's a manager that is very, very passionate about his side, and I think people kind of take that as complaining. When last season, a lot of the decisions, the refereeing decisions, were going against him for seemingly no reason. He was right in calling that out. And he's a guy who's never going to throw his players under the bus. It's always going to be his fault whenever he steps into the press room. So that's a manager you want to play for. I have to agree with you, though, that Manchester City will end up winning the Premier League. And that's really not my prediction. My prediction is more so Arsenal will finish second in the Premier League. This is because I just struggle to trust this Arsenal side in these matches time and time again. I mean, how many times have we seen this against Forest, against Man United, where they just come out slow and they need to be more on it? Martin Odegaard has not been good this season. He needs to pick up the pace. He needs to pick up the creativity. He needs to do something that is special. Obviously, he creates a lot of chances, but unfortunately, there's just no one that can convert them because the strikers are not good enough. Kai Havertz, Victor Gyökeres, Gabby Jesus, the makeshift option of Mikel Merino, all these options are not going to help you win the Premier League. We are talking about the biggest league in the world, the English Premier League. It is not good enough. I do think Martin Odegaard is also just sometimes he creates these chances, but there's so many times where I think he could be the biggest chance creator in the world if he just decided to look forward. There are times where he is just so unaggressive, so conservative in the way that he plays, and it's just so frustrating to watch. It's painful. It really is painful. I can't stomach it any further. And because of that, I just struggle to see. Now, one thing I don't struggle to see is Arsenal's defense being the reason they lose the Premier League. They've conceded 17 goals this season. That is the lowest tally in the Premier League by far. No one is really close. Manchester City have conceded 4 more, but you got to think Arsenal would have to take like 4 games to reach that level. Before last week, they were at 14 goals conceded through 22 games. That's an insane mark, but I just worry
What
about how this team can score goals.
what's Arsenal's goal differential in the
Plus
Prem?
25 because Man City have scored more goals.
Jeez. Yeah, I totally agree with what you say about Arsenal's defense possibly hurting you guys. I I'm very disappointed in Martin Odegaard just because a couple seasons back, I don't know if you remember, they were having the Bruno Fernandes Odegaard like little comparisons. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
that's what hindered him. If not, he could have been on top there. I think the big three in the Premier League could have been Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and Martin Odegaard if he stepped it up. And I think that's what differentiates them as well. Bruno, he's always chasing the ball. He's always aggressive. He's always trying to find the way to win for his team, at least on a good day. But it's just Odegaard. You don't see that extra push. You don't see that extra drive. Um, but no, I agree with everything you say. And honestly, if it does end up where Arsenal is second again, I am so sorry because that must feel like a slap to the face after you keep on just going through the same and same thing. And honestly, it's Arsenal needs to see if they can get someone prem proven. If not, see someone who is just proven anywhere. Because this experimental stuff, you should not be doing it as a team that's charging for the title. I just look at what Manchester City is doing. When
Yeah.
they when their summer signings, what have they all been? They've all been players who were top of their squad. Reinders was the best, if not one of the best midfielders at Milan. Ryan Cherokee, one of the most promising prospects in the world, but also proven at Lyon. And then same thing with their most recent signings. I mean, it's just there's things that have to change with this Arsenal squad. I just don't know if they'll change.
Yeah, I certainly agree. It's kind of a
I'm so
depressing
sorry.
topic. No, I don't even care anymore. Life's meaningless. Um, yeah, absolutely. Um, moving on, Joao. Do you have any more? What prediction do you want to predict next?
Champions League. My Champions League winner. I have Bayern Munich lifting up the Champions League at the end of the season. Here, let me tell you why. The past couple seasons, Bayern Munich has been a team that's on and off. Obviously, they last time they lifted the trophy was what 2020, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
2020
they won
last
the
time they
COVID one. Yes.
They won the COVID one. This year, they're onto a hot start. They've only lost once, which was to Arsenal. They've been doing well in the Bundesliga as well, which is expected. But you have Jamal Musiala coming back, which means this midfield is going to be absolutely electric. You have all these players who have gone into the squad and sort of done that change that the squad needs. If they can go through a Borussia Dortmund, if they can go through a Real Madrid and Arsenal, I think nobody stops them. And I think that just with the way that this team has been playing, they can go ahead and lift up the Champions League.
They've certainly showed the caliber to do that in the league stage. They finished second. The lone loss was against the best team they had to play. And that was Arsenal. And Arsenal, quite frankly, they made them look silly in that match. It was at the Emirates, and Arsenal were far and away the best side in that match. I'm just looking over their other results. They did beat PSG 2-1 away, which is a good result. Chelsea at home 3-1. I could see it happening. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bayern Munich be in the top 4 position. Obviously, when you have Harry Kane, you're going to have the guy that's going to score goals for you. And that's just an insane player. He's already got 21 in the Bundesliga this season. He's 120 goals and 127 appearances in all comps. 30, 30, 35 goals in 31 games this season for Harry Kane. That is... Get him in an Arsenal shirt. I don't even care. But I think when you have goal scoring like that, it's obviously going to help you. You've got great home field presence. I want to see what the tie would be in the knockout stage, because I mean, if they get like that their Klassiker that we spoke about earlier, they could be in big trouble, because I don't think Dortmund's great, but you're getting that level of rivalry in the knockout stages. That's always going to help you. A rivalry match is always difficult to predict. Mention it being a knockout game too. It could really, really be a coin flip. But again, Harry Kane. He's Harry Kane.
Yeah, and it's just once again, he's electric. What concerns me about Dortmund is they play well domestically, and the Champions League, it comes up, they play a big name squad, or a squad that has decent pieces. You lose 2-0 to Tottenham, you lose 2-0 to Inter. They fell to Leverkusen as well in the Pokal in December. I'm very concerned because it's they can hold their own against squads who are lower in level, or smaller in name. And this is no disrespect to Borussia Dortmund. Absolutely love this team, love their social media admin. They're pretty funny. But it's just it comes a time you play a big match, they can't seem to perform. They can't seem to get the result. I just don't know if they have it against Bayern. It's very complicated in my eyes, and it could be possible that they could pull off the result, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, yeah. For my Champions League winner, I have Real Madrid. No, I'm
No.
kidding. I have
Okay.
Arsenal winning it. I think Arsenal have looked far too dominant in the Champions League, while their struggles in the Premier League are obviously maybe a little bit overplayed, but they're not as dominant in the Premier League as they are in the Champions League. In the Champions League, through 8 games, they scored 23 goals, conceded only 4. They did not lose a game. They did not draw a game. They won all 8 matches that they played. With the form that they are in the Champions League alone, it is hard not to back this side, hard not to back them going far. And it's not like they didn't beat the good sides. They beat Bayern Munich. They beat Inter Milan away in the San Siro. Very, very good results for them. They also beat Club Brugge, who finished 19th. They beat PSV as well, who did not have as great of a Champions League campaign that they would have hoped for. But again, I think with their Champions League form alone, that's all I'm looking at right now. It's hard not to pick them, because I mean, again, that game against Atletico Madrid, 4-0. Arsenal made Atletico look silly. Absolutely silly in that game. And Arsenal, I don't know what it is about them, but they figured something out in the Champions League. And I think this year it's finally going to lead to them winning the Champions League.
My worry is their adaptability. I think that's my number one worry about this team. If they get figured out, how will they be able to adapt? How will they be able to play? That's not a bad take. I could see Arsenal winning the Champions League as well. For purposes of bants, I wouldn't want it because every time you bring up Manchester United's bad moment, I'm like, where's the Champions League? Where's the Champions League? No, but in all seriousness, I totally could see this happening. They do have something figured out. But I didn't want to be generic, right? And I want to look at a squad that I watch frequently in Bayern Munich, and just say, hey, why not? But I mean, once again, your take is very valid, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I would not either, because that's why I predicted it. Uh, what do you have any more predictions, or are we moving on?
Uh, I could move on right now if you wanted to.
All right. We've got 20 minutes left, which is usually the time this descends into chaos. And no different this time. No different this time. We are doing a draft. We hinted at it earlier in the show. We're doing a football boot draft. And I am a little bit concerned about how this is going to go. But I'm going to get things started. I'm not going to give Joa'o the first pick. It's my first pick. It's me. I'm going to go first. And I've got to go. Let me tell a story before I make this pick.
Go
Last
ahead,
night,
brother.
I was at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication building. I was in there with a very good friend of the program, diehard supporter of the program, mind you, Joaquin Rodriguez. And we were sat there watching old 2014 Nike football ads. We watched the winner stays on, the one where the last goal wins, where they're playing in a park, and then the animated one too where they're replaced by robots. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the whole Nike risk everything scene. Then we watched the switch when Ronaldo becomes the ball boy becomes Ronaldo, and then we watched the POV one when he plays for Arsenal. And because of that, mainly the first two, I've got to go the Nike Mercurial Superfly for 2014, the orange one specifically. The high sock on the boot, absolutely iconic. I love that kind of look. It's so fitting of the time. Boot 1-1 for me.
All right, so I cannot use those anymore. That's a great pick. That's a great pick. There's so much nostalgia behind it. Um, I'm going a different direction. When you think all-time greats, when you think class, when you think a player who can effectively do whatever he wants with the ball, and you're looking at the olden times, you're thinking of a Diego Maradona, you're thinking of a Franz Beckenbauer, even Zinedine Zidane wore this boot. For my first pick, I have to go with the Adidas Copa Mundial. Nothing like it. Classic football boot, leather upper. It's just you see a player with this boot, and he's gonna go ahead and get the job done. He has his class, he has his aura behind him, and this is why it's going number one for me.
That is a good pick. I mean, the way the Adidas stripe have that like wavy texture thing that's been like recreated on the Sambas is beautiful. It is definitely iconic. I'm gonna go for another iconic boot myself. It's not the most iconic of this series. People love some of the other ones a little bit more, but it's my favorite one. It's the Adidas Predators, but the Mania edition, the 2002. So it's the third ones. You've got the strap over the top, and then it like sits in the red strap, the black, and the stripes. The Adidas stripes are much more traditional on this one. So without a doubt, that's my favorite of the Predator series.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Honestly, I love those cleats as is. I love those boots. I love the retro ones. I'm glad they brought them back. Um, just because they're absolutely phenomenal. I'm keeping it retro here. And I have to go with Nike Mercurials, but the 1998 ones, silver base, blue waves, neon green accents. R9 used them, Thierry Henry used them, and then eventually when they ended up bringing back the reboot and the new ones, one of your favorite players of all time, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, has worn them as well. It's just to think that some of the best strikers at the time, or some of the best forwards in the world at the time when this boot released, were rocking these cleats and just doing absolute mayhem. I love to see it. I love the style. I love the texture. I love everything about this boot.
That was going to be my very next pick. I cannot hate it one bit. I mean, R9 in those boots, absolutely iconic. I think about him, with the boots tied around his neck, the metal on. It's such a clean look. So I cannot hate it at all. Um, Back to the Nike Mercurial Superfly from 2014. I'm gonna go with the other iconic boot, the Nike Magista Obras, the yellow ones from that same advertising campaign. I think honestly, I think 2014 in football. Obviously, I was 8 years old, but I think that was just peak. We go back to the FIFA song draft. How many songs did I pick from FIFA 14? Now we've got the all the boots from 2014 as well. Beautiful.
That's just amazing. I mean, I were the when you say the yellow ones, were they the yellow ones with like the like pink was like hexagons or whatever it is,
Kind
like texture?
Sorry, let me pull it. Yes, sorry, yeah. I'd say more orange, but yeah, it's like orange pink on the one side, and then on the other side it's like black or like dark green.
So fun fact with those, actually, I at least have an anecdote with that. Those were the first pair of boots that I had when I started playing club soccer. When I started playing club soccer, I got cleats for my birthday. Opened up the box, saw those, just brought back an instant wave of memories. Thank you so much. For my next pick, I think that these are. I, I don't know if they were on your list. I don't know if they'll be on your list. I had to go with the Puma Evo Speed 1.2 Tricks 2014 edition. It was the Puma boots, where one of them was blue, the other one was pink. Players at the time like Cesc Fabregas, Olivier Giroud, and Antoine Griezmann and Sergio Aguero rocked these boots. I just once again they were creative for their time. Leather upper as well. Can't go wrong with them.
No, you certainly can't, especially with a Puma boot. You know, I do love that little Puma swoosh. I don't even know what they call it actually, but it's just iconic, and because of that, I'm gonna go to where Puma really started all the way back when the Puma Kings. I mean, you think Pele, you think all these old players, but they're iconic in a way, and they set things going for what football boots are now, and the way people really kind of think about them. Just again, it's the Puma swoosh that really makes them, and then they've got the leather all over. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I love the way they rebooted them with Neymar as well. Can't go wrong with Puma Kings. My next selection, one of my personal favorites because I had these, but in black, the Adidas X17 Plus Pure Speeds. Players like Mo Salah, Luis Suarez, and Gabby Jesus wore them. I had mine in black because of Luis Suarez. Love Luis Suarez growing up. Even though he played for Barca, still absolutely phenomenal player. This was that one boot where it was a base, right? And then it had like that fishnet over it, went up to the sock, little cut. Can't go wrong with them. Also, they were laceless, so I loved them at the time because I didn't have to tie my boots, and I don't tie my boots when I'm playing. Fun fact.
Joa'o just admitted he doesn't know how to tie his
I know how
shoes.
to I know how to tie them. I
No,
just I
Joa'o
choose
doesn't know
not
how to
to.
tie his shoes. Um,
Yeah, I still wear Velcro.
I think we've done some very good boots in this list, but I think we've got to throw it back to still the best series of all time, the Nike Mercurial Superflies. This time, instead of the four, we're going one edition prior, the threes. Not the high socks, or not the high sock, the little ankle sock, but still very, very iconic, and especially in that, like, the neon green and dark green color where it kind of looks like the Kobe Grinches. I think they called it Volt. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah,
Absolutely beautiful boot.
you can't go wrong with those. For my next pick, I've decided to go with one from 2014, very similar to your first pick, but these are the low cut versions, and these were in leather instead of that Flyknit material. I've gone for the Nike Mercurial Vapor X's. So same thing. They came in that, like, how would you even describe it? Like reddish, um, reddish color, and then the swoosh was Volt green, but it was also mixed with gold. Can't go wrong with them. Ronaldo wore them, Neymar wore them, Hazard wore them, and then eventually they ended up releasing the gold versions of them, which everyone seemed to fable over at the time. Absolutely phenomenal.
Talk for a second. I need to sneeze.
No, go ahead. Um,
All right,
but
never
yeah,
mind. I got it
I
out.
think that I think that whole I think that whole I think that whole pack that Nike had for the World Cup that year, you can't go wrong with any of these boots, and they definitely have an effect on those who grew up watching the beautiful game at the same time as us.
I think I certainly agree, and I'm actually going to go back to 2014 again, if you can believe it or not. The Nike Hypervenom ones. I was close to going the, like, neon yellow and purple color scheme that Neymar had, but I'm gonna go for the black ones instead, the black and orange ones. They've got this pattern on them that's like with the shoe, like with the whatever material it is. That honestly makes it kind of look like a golf ball almost. And then I've got the pirate skull on the back. Black and orange is a beautiful colorway. This is a great, great boot.
Look at what I was writing on my paper for my next pick.
Nike Hypervenom.
Nike Hypervenom Phantom is what they technically were. They're the ones, they're the Phantoms. Stole that pick from me. That's all right. I already have another pick lined up. I have to go with the Nike Tiempo Legend Sixes. The especially the ones that Francesco Totti wore. Very similar to the Predators. They have the little flap that can go over the boot, but they're gold and black. It was for Totti's 25th year at Roma. You can't go wrong with these boots. And they're absolutely classy. I love a Tiempo Legend, but especially in gold, and especially for a moment like this, even better.
Let's see how. Oh, Joao, you can buy them for $1,000.
Oh, good to
Worth
know.
worth it? You gonna pull the trigger?
No. Oh Lord, no.
No, he's not, Joao. Well, though the shoot, I lost my train of thought there. Um, Football boots, right? That's what we're talking about. I'm gonna go a little bit older. The Nike CTR 360 Maestri 1 boots, half and half. More specifically, the white and red ones. Um, just beautiful. I love a good half and half design. I love a good, like, when the colors mesh together well. White and red, that colorway specifically did it beautifully. I miss the CTR 360s. Really, that CTR whole series. It got replaced by the Mercurial. I mean, looking at them now, I kind of understand why they got replaced, because they definitely are a bit. They definitely are bulky, heavy. I can only imagine the weight difference between them and the Mercurials, but still iconic.
You're going from like wearing bricks on your feet and like weight to like just absolutely nothing, just the pinnacle of football boot technology. It makes sense why they went for the change. And for my next pick, I have to go with the Mizuno Morelias. They debuted in 1986. It's just a classic leather boot, like your Nike Tiempo, like your Adidas Copa. Can't go wrong with them. Players like Gianfranco Zola wore these, and honestly, I love me a leather boot. They're comfortable. You get a good touch on the ball. Can't go wrong with them.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And any black and white boot is sure to be iconic. I'm actually going a Mizuno boot for my next pick as well. Oops, sorry. Uh, from 2002 World Cup, the Mizuno Wave with Rivaldo. Listen, Brazil had a lot of aura in that time period, but white boots standing out, and then with like the blue and yellow accents, the Mizuno logo iconic, and you mix in that colorway, it's even more.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my later picks, but obviously you've taken it. Not a bad option. So I guess for my next one, I gotta go Nike Total 90, the version 3, 2004. So this was the times of Roberto Carlos, Luis Figo, Wayne Rooney, and Ronaldinho. Um, when I first started playing the game, my dad would sit me down and make me watch these players because they were influential at this time. And Ronaldinho has a cool ad for this boot as well when it debuted. He gets a gold case at like Barcelona's training ground. He puts them on, and he starts juggling the ball. He shoots it, hits it off the crossbar. He does it like 3 times, and it's like me growing up. What do I know? I'm like, this guy is cracked. Like his boots are insane as well. Um, so that has to be my next pick.
I actually have a total 90 pick myself. It's actually my very next one as well. So I feel like I'm copying you, but it's not that one. It's the laser twos with the 90 on the tongue and like all the circles around it, and it honestly kind of looks like plastic, like as the tongue covering the laces. But just the design of it is beautiful. Obviously, you have the better total 90 boots, but that whole era, it was beautiful. The total 90 kits, the boots, everything they did with this Nike really really peaked, and they need to get back to that era.
Yeah, I feel like uh I feel like being minimalistic and being very simplistic is killing the beauty of the game. I think that these boots were very differentiated because of their art. Um and no, you can't simplify the art that is football just because it speaks for itself. For my I think this is my 10th pick. I have to go for the Nike Mercurial Vapor, the 2002 version. Um, Very similar to the Nike Mercurial X's. It's a low cut boot, except this one was more plastic based. Um, the most notable colorway was the silver one with neon green accents, worn by players like Ronaldo Nazario, Thierry Henry, and Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a good one there. I uh, I have an interesting one. It's a Nike Tiempo Legend model, but it's one after yours or one before. It's it's the Ronaldinho version, with the gold. The wait, sorry, I'm just making sure I have the right one. It's a Legend. It's a Legend 7, sorry. It's a Legend 7. It's got gold swoosh, the gold kind of tongue with the 10 and his signature. It's a very very good model. They currently go for $3,000 on eBay. So Joao, once the inverted microphone makes it big, I'll be wearing those 9.5 so I can make them fit.
that's that's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait for the day where I pull up and I just see you wearing those boots. I'm gonna lose my mind. Um, for my last and final pick, I think this might be pick 11. I'll
No, it's
recount
not. It's
these.
pick 10.
It's pick 10. I don't know how to do math. For my 10th pick, these boots when they came out, they were I'm not gonna say revolutionary because they didn't change the technology. However, they changed the sort of fashion landscape that boots have. This is the first time we saw a Jordan X Nike collab. And I have to go with the Nike Hypervenom Phantom 2s X Jordans. So black base. It has these gray ridges with like black dots, sort of like what you see on a Jordan 23 on the right boot, 10 on the left boot. It was a collaboration. It was a collaboration they had with Neymar when he was at PSG. Can't go wrong with these.
All right, this is my last pick. I think I might have somehow, some way saved the best for last. The Nike Mercurial. You can tell my favorite boot line. Superfly CR7 Safari. The white base, black speckles all across, orange
Die.
swoosh. Absolutely beautiful. Cristiano Ronaldo. He was fortunate to wear some beautiful, beautiful boots in his career, and this one certainly no different.
Yeah.
That was your next
I
pick?
want I I wanted to go for that one. I had another one lined up just in case, which you did take it. Phenomenal. I think that he had I think that Ronaldo had a great line of boots. This isn't my next pick. Um, one of my favorite ones though from that sort of era was I don't know if you remember. It's a black Mercurial Superfly, but it had sort of like the flames on it. It was like fire. I don't know if you remember it. It was sort of from that 20, I want to say 2016, maybe 2017 era.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, yeah.
I remember seeing ballers wear those. Those were tough. For my last and final pick, I have to go with the Nike South Korea Mercurial Superfly 7s. These released in 2020. It has a white base, sort of black stripes, sort of like the Korean. You could say I don't know
Oh
if it's
yeah,
a tiger, a leopard
yeah.
on the badge. The swoosh is like pinkish, one half blue, the other half, and then the tongue has writing in Korean as well. I think those are a fashion statement if so. And I can't go wrong with these for my 11th and final pick.
Kind of weird, but they kind of look like Yeezys in a way. You know, like the
Yeah,
Yeezy Ultra
the
Boosts, like
zebras.
that. Yeah, the zebra is the most iconic ones. Um, I think this was a very interesting draft. We had boots of all shapes and sizes, colors and textures. But obviously, everyone knows that the best model, the best boot of all time, is any Nike Mercurial, but certainly any from like 2012 to 2014. That is the peak. There is no coming back to anything remotely as good as that. But I think that's going to wrap up yet another episode of the Inverted Microphone. Joa'o Lara Jr. on this beautiful Friday. Where can they follow you?
They can find me on Sports with Joao on Instagram, Joao Lara Jr. on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and JL Football, the JL Football on TikTok.
The JL Football. You can follow me on Twitter at Rees Goodall. Follow me on Instagram at Rees underscore FC. And then you can follow the Inverted Microphone on all platforms at the Inverted Microphone Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment that Joao is a JV Torta that doesn't know ball, like most of you already do. So it's not something new. It's not something out of the norm. But it's a beautiful game. But it's a way more beautiful when winter stays on. Have a good night, everybody.